So the original recipe was definitely a brainchild that I had actually started in high school. So I'd been roasting chickpeas in my air fryer starting in high school when food recipe content started coming out on Instagram, and that was all the rave at the time. So I got inspiration from Instagram actually to start roasting chickpeas in air fryers, and just had been making my own granola throughout college and just being very hands-on and very mindful of what I was eating. I was a college athlete as well at U of R, and during my 4 years there, I also worked for a bakery here in town. And so I just loved the idea of ideating, iterating, being hands-on with food. And so we had used that initial idea of crunchy roasted chickpeas and a granola component to make our snack mixes as a foundation. But then just really wanted to dive into the macronutritional profile.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Startup CPG podcast. This is Grace, and I'm here with another founder feature. Today, I'm talking to a fellow Grace, the co-founder of Absurd Snacks, a brand making protein-rich, ultra-crunchy snacks that are entirely free from common allergens. We talk about the challenges of finding an allergen-free manufacturing facility, how they're supporting their upcoming launch onto Amazon, and why Grace wishes she'd been more vulnerable in the early days of building Absurd Snacks. I hope you enjoy this episode, and as always, let me know what you think. Hello, everyone. This is Grace, and today I am joined by a fellow Grace, but Grace, who is the co-founder of Absurd Snacks. Welcome to the show, Grace.
Thanks, Grace. It's always so fun when I meet someone who also has my name.
I know, and it's a little bit weird because you're like,
Yeah.
wait, are you talking to me or are you talking to yourself? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I love it. It's a great name. Only great people are named Grace. So I'd love for you to introduce yourself, though, and Absurd Snacks to our listeners.
Awesome. Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Grace Middle. I am one of the co-founders of Absurd Snacks, and we make snacking easier, safer, and more delicious for individuals who have food allergies and sensitivities.
Yes. Such a cool concept. And I love the ways you guys have innovated with what a snack mix can be beyond just your traditional trail mix filled with nuts that half the people are allergic to. So I'd love to hear a little bit about why you decided to create this brand and why you felt it was important to bring something that was allergen friendly to the market.
Definitely. I'd love to share a little bit about our founder story because it's pretty unique, and I think the reason that we're here today. We are based in Richmond, Virginia, and my co-founder Eli and I went to the University of Richmond for undergrad. We graduated in 2022, and in our senior year, we had the opportunity to take a food and beverage management entrepreneurship course that actually allowed us to work on any food product idea that we had and actually launch it in the market our spring senior semester. And we decided to make an allergy-friendly snack mix because of our close friend and classmate who has severe food allergies. So the pain point that we were trying to solve for actually came from a classmate that we were working on the project with. And so we got into sort of the CPG industry by the nature of being in this undergrad course and having hands-on experience in a fail-safe environment, which was really interesting. Um, I had worked for a digital marketing firm the summer prior for an internship and worked on the search engine management team and got a lot of one-on-one time with founders and their marketing teams. And I so badly wanted to be on the other side of that camera, actually building the brands that we were supporting on the digital marketing side of things. So it was really serendipitous to be able to take this class that fueled a passion that I had, and then actually turn it into what is now our full-time job. So, we're entering year 3 of selling our nut-free snack mixes, and still based in Richmond, growing the community here. Having a great time with it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was curious as to if it was you or your co-founder who had allergies, but it's someone because I always feel like so often with brands that are filling kind of like a niche category, there's some personal connection to the pain point. But I'd love to hear a little bit about the development process because I do think what's in your mix is really unique. And I've gotten to try them and they're really delicious. And there's a savory one, there's a sweet one, and yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit about like what went into that development and how you decided how and what would be in it.
Yeah, definitely. So the original recipe was definitely a brainchild that I had actually started in high school. So I'd been roasting chickpeas in my air fryer starting in high school when um you know, food recipe content started coming out on Instagram, and that was all the rave at the time. So I got inspiration from Instagram actually to start roasting chickpeas in air fryers and just had been making my own granola throughout college and just being very like hands-on and very mindful of what I was eating. I was a college athlete as well at U of R. And during my 4 years there, I also worked for a bakery here in town. And so I just love the idea of like ideating, iterating, being hands-on with food. And so we had used that initial idea of like crunchy roasted chickpeas and that granola component to make our snack mixes as a foundation. But then yeah, just really wanted to dive into like the macronutritional profile because the pain point that we had heard from our classmate was not only was there a lack of food allergy friendly options for him, but there was a severe lack in like healthy macronutrient profiles. Um, a lot of our competitors focus on, like, sweet snacks, indulgent snacks like cookies, brownies, cake mixes, but what was missing for him was that functional snacking option, and so the recipe development I mean, we still undergo recipe dev, like, all the time. It's a constant work in progress, and what you'll try today is definitely much different than what we had launched with, like, back when we were seniors in undergrad. But yeah, it really just started from taking existing ideas of how to take normal ingredients that you'd find in your pantry, staples, and turn them into something that's really delicious and actually like fuels the soul. So, um, yeah, it's a never ending R&D process, but I think we've finally gotten the product to a point where it's really easy to eat and really delicious and delivers on all the value props that we're really shooting for.
Yeah, and for those who haven't tried it before, can you explain a little bit about, like, what is in it? I mean, I know I think chickpeas are still in
Yeah,
it, but can you
they are.
explain, like, what
Yes.
is in the mix? Because I think it's really interesting.
Definitely, yeah. So our snack mixes are made from a sweet and salty blend of chickpeas, granola clusters, and naturally sweetened dried fruit. There's about 7 grams of plant-based protein, 5 grams of dietary fiber, and only a few grams of added sugar from pure maple syrup. So we're proud to be top 9 allergen free. We're naturally sweetened with pure maple syrup and apple juice. So we're also plant-based as well. So we hit a lot of the emerging consumer trends and are really just a safe snack for all. We like to say that we pull up a seat for everyone at the table. And it's a really good option, if you have a dinner party or you're sending snacks off with your kids on a play date or something. It's a great option to have because you never know who's going to walk in the door and might have a sensitivity or an allergy.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious, backing up a little bit, I guess, to after you guys graduate from school and you're like, "Okay, are we really doing this now?" What were some of those first
Yeah.
steps like to take it out of this, like, classroom project and into, like, "Oh, now we're working toward like, this is now your full-time
Yeah.
job?"
Yes. Great question. So, we were pretty lucky, I'd say. We had one of the professors of our course, was a CPG founder, is still in CPG, has exited a couple businesses, and he actually sent me on my spring break senior year to Expo West. I'm pretty sure he personally funded it, which is amazing. And I had the chance to sit down with some people from, I don't know if Startup CPG was in my peripheral yet, but maybe similar organizations and just meeting with other founders. And I was able to actually meet with the founders of the brands that I was working on in that internship. And honestly, I just asked them a ton of questions of like what it was like to be a founder, what is Expo West? What's the purpose? How do you get here? How much does it cost? Like all the things. And we really just have emulated that model even to date, like I always say to people, like, I think we've 90% of what we know is passed on from founders who are willing to share their experience and willing to tell us what they did right and what they did wrong. And that has really carved out a pathway for us, and a really great support system as well. So early on, like we were just sponges and we were just, asking anyone and everyone for advice and just really leaning into the community, to get those early learnings because we were coming right out of school from a liberal arts, college that we didn't specialize in CPG. We didn't have a master's in like manufacturing. So, um, I don't think so. Um, so yeah, I don't know if that directly answers your question, but it was definitely the decision to work on it full time was definitely fueled by the excitement and the passion of what we were building and actually understanding that we were building a product that affects 11% of adults. And we heard great feedback from the community and people that we were sampling and demoing with that, like, oh my gosh, it's so exciting that I get to try something that I've never had before. And that continues to keep us going every day.
Yeah, totally. It's such a new idea and product, and that's definitely something people get excited about. I was also thinking about how you found maybe like a manufacturer who was able to also assure that it would be allergen free, because I feel like sometimes you'll see something that's like no nuts, but manufactured in a facility where there are nuts. And I'm imagining that was important to you guys to do it in a facility where there would be no allergens. But was it challenging to find a manufacturing partner that could do that with you, or is that like a huge thing that exists that I just don't know about?
Definitely. When we had done customer discovery, so we after we graduated, we went through an 8-week program where all we did was interview potential customers, and we created some hypotheses around the problem that we were trying to solve, and actually found that the pain point in the consumer journey was exactly what you said, that may contain statement, because frankly, like, the supply chain is not built for brands like Absurd Snacks where, they're mass producing various products and there's always a chance for cross contamination there. And so our manufacturing journey has been probably the most difficult aspect of building the business, just simply because we have really strong parameters around what it means to manufacture absurd snacks and the implications of that and the values that we hold ourselves to. Um, and so in town, actually, at Richmond, there's another brand. The founder actually just successfully exited her business and she's doing amazing. She was a mentor to us, um, and had actually co-manufactured for us, quasi co-manufactured. We were on the line as well. But she was a top 9 allergen-free brand, already had all these safety protocols in place. And so she really helped us out early on. We eventually grew out of that relationship and opened up our own facility. Up in New Jersey, actually. So we were commuting up to Jersey to mass produce our snacks, and then we bring them back down to Richmond. And we'd actually found that partnership through Startup CPG. I don't know if we've mentioned that, but we connected with another founder who had a top on allergen-free space that they weren't really using. And so we, for a year, had brought manufacturing in-house and had ran production ourselves, which was a huge learning curve and definitely rewarding because now we're taking those learnings and insights into our next manufacturing partner, which is gonna be totally outsourced. Um, and I'll give, like, major credit to Eli. He's all ops, manufacturing, production, and, I don't think you wanna know what our Google Drive looks like because there is, like, I mean, more than the FDA puts out there, I'd say we have a good grasp on what it means to be an allergen-free brand, and we take it really seriously. And yeah, luckily, again, I think like the learnings that we've had has really helped us to build like a strong foundation for the brand. And for us, that means having a super solid supply chain, and creating that moat that you kind of need in order to be successful.
Yeah. So have you guys made the jump to the outsourced facility yet, or are you in the process?
So we just completed our super successful trial production run about 6 weeks ago, and we are in the process of finishing onboarding and yeah, just kind of waiting to put a production date on the schedule. But looks like the next couple of weeks we'll be flying out there for a full run. So we're really excited. And the recipe is changing a little bit to, better fit the equipment that we'll be using. So we're really excited to implement those changes too.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm curious, as you're expanding into this outsourced facility, are there any like other things that you think that will enable Absurd Snacks to do now that you're not having to, commute to New Jersey and things like that? Like what are you hoping this step will lead to?
Definitely. So when we were self-manufacturing, we had some inventory constraints, like we could only make X number of units per month. And with this new manufacturing partner, we are definitely a relatively small fish for them. And so there is basically like no ceiling to how much inventory we can actually produce because they are a larger production partner. So yeah, we are launching Amazon in June, which is our
Exciting.
first thank you. Yeah, which is our first kind of test for a stronger e-commerce strategy. We've been 110% focused on retail, and really getting that early validation through qualitative feedback at demos and talking to buyers and merchandisers and really letting our consumers inform the direction of Absurd Snacks. And we thought that was easiest to do through a retail-based sales approach, but now that we feel like we've validated the product, it's at a really good spot, decided to invest in Amazon, and we're working with a great agency partner to help support that channel. So it's really only possible by the switch to the co-manufacturer because now we have a lot more inventory to work with and test with. Um Definitely, and we're excited to, test our certifications as well. We're investing in non-GMO, kosher, and GFCO as well, which are definitely highly searched, claims on Amazon as well.
Yeah, I was curious how you are gearing up to launch on Amazon and like what sort of preparations are you making in terms of marketing? I mean, it sounds like obviously you're preparing in terms of inventory, but also like making
Mhm.
sure that the lot like people actually buy it on Amazon. What are you guys putting into that?
Definitely. So we have a brand ambassador program that is a really highly engaged group of 30 or so individuals who are more of like in the fitness active space. They're brand champions. Some of them even work for us part time, doing demos and field sales activations. And so we're actually leveraging that community to really help spread the word. About Amazon, in addition to, we have some affiliate marketing programming in the works as well. But outside of that, we really are putting our dollars behind Amazon and really making sure that we're bidding on the right keywords and ranking high enough and getting those early reviews and testimonials, and participating in some of Amazon specific programs like their Vine program. We're trying to keep our dollars as close to point of purchase as possible. Um, I get the first 6 months of Amazon at least.
Yeah, definitely. Sort of on the other side of Amazon, which has been your retail presence up until now, I'm curious as you're launching into Amazon, is your retail strategy changing at all, or is it just kind of continuing alongside Amazon?
Yeah, it's definitely continuing alongside Amazon. I think we're definitely really excited to see how this like omni-channel approach plays out. But we're by no means like dismissing the idea of building through retail. Our retail partners have been tremendous and great supporters of the brand. And we don't see that ever kind of letting up. There's obviously like a whole country full of amazing natural retailers, and we're in about this many of them. So we definitely see where Absurd Snacks can have tremendous growth past just our initial regional launches into more natural retailers for sure.
We'll be right back.
Are you going to crush it on Amazon this year? It's such an important channel, but it's so hard to do alone, and most agencies are a total ripoff. We can't afford $5,000 a month and a commission on our sales. They just don't get it. That's why I love our partners at Daybreak. They are full service, meaning they do the creative work, the listings, the logistics, and of course, all the ads, all with the most reasonable retainer out there. I work with them personally. I'm so grateful we have such a good partner to recommend out to you, our community. They do evaluate your product first to see if it might be a fit. So if you want them to have a look, email them, startupcpg@daybreak.agency, and they'll do a free audit for you. Good luck, everyone.
Yeah, I'm curious how you guys have expanded. Like, which regions are you in? And like, what stores have been your targets as you've been growing Absurd Snacks?
Yeah. Um, that's a great question. We've almost exclusively have operated in the natural channel. So we started our retail journey with Whole Foods Market just as a local forager brand in the Mid Atlantic. And we were knocking on doors, getting POs ourselves for the first 6 to 8 months until we earned permanent placement with that region. So we are now in all of the Mid Atlantic locations. Um, and then we were able to get some local placement with Kroger and Publix as well, with their Virginia local end cap program. So we're active in 25, all of the Publix locations in Virginia. There's about 25, and then there's about 34 Kroger locations as well that we work with. Um, and that was a unique opportunity with a local distribution partner that we, took advantage of and are growing pretty well with. And then outside of that, our initial early supporters, like your typical mom and pop, independent grocery, co-op, are still, like, really top performers for us. I think Virginia loves local, and we really lean into our local founder story to, yeah, just to support the community and support the brand. And so that independent channel approach, I don't think will go away either because those, store owners are also really passionate about niche emerging brands, and we owe a lot of credit to them for our early validation too.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to return for a moment to your little community of brand ambassadors, like your 30 brand ambassadors. And I'm curious about how you got that up and running and like how you found the right people for Absurd Snacks. Because I hear so often that, you can't just work with any influencer. You don't want to just have just any person. You want someone who like really aligns with your brand. So how did you go about building that program?
Yeah, so last year, we did 175 consumer events. So that's a mix of like demos popping up at races, breweries, anything in the community, anything that kind of fit like our requirement of consumer activation. We were there, and we took that time to not only get feedback on the product, but to also invite people to be part of the journey and be part of the brand building process. And so, pretty simple actually. We just had a huge like QR code on a stand-up banner that asked if people wanted to be brand ambassadors. I can't remember the exact verbiage, but they scanned it, they filled it out, and then we just like fielded interest via email and texting. And then we started out by doing just a unboxing approach. So we would send all of our ambassadors free product at the top of the quarter. We would give some like posting ideas, and then we would give them like a 3-day timeline of like when we would ask them to post about the product if they were going to. So that way we had a lot more like UGC content coming in on the same day. And yeah, just like a lot of organic traffic like flowing through to Absurd Snacks through that effort. And then yeah, just keeping them engaged. So we have a Instagram group message with all of our ambassadors where it's a space to share how you're enjoying Absurd Snacks, or if people have questions or ideas, or if they want to collaborate with each other, that's a space for them to chat and meet each other as well. Um, and that community is growing. That submission form like lives on our link tree and our bio on Instagram and on our website. And so it's a living submission document for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess if anybody's listening and you want to be a brand ambassador, you should check it out. What is your approach though to social media in general besides working with these brand ambassadors to create UGC? Do you guys have a strategy? Are you very like founder focused? What's your
Yeah.
social media strategy?
Yeah. Strategy is a strong word, I would say.
Vibes.
I would
What's your social media vibe?
exactly. So Eli and I run both of our social media channels, Instagram and TikTok. We're definitely more Instagram heavy. Um, I don't know. I think I would say we're very founder focused. I will say that our content performs highest when there's people in the videos. Our reels perform much better than static images, as I'm sure most other brands could say the same. But our community really loves like the founder facing content. So explaining like our founder story and what's Absurd Snacks doing today, day in the life of building Absurd Snacks, and then engage with our community partners. So every time we do a pop up at one of our running stores that we sell in, or at a festival, like customer testimonials and just a lot of like live feedback on the brand seems to resonate really well. We also do a lot of like giveaways and collaborations with other brands that are similar to our size. That have similar audiences. And then outside of that, like the food allergy community is super strong on social media. So we're constantly engaging with those brands, engaging with those influencers, just organically. I think the social media community can feel, even though it's like a huge platform, it can feel really small if you're engaged with your target audience like pretty regularly. And so yeah, making sure that we're supporting other brands that are on the same, on the same path, on the same mission as us leads to like really unique partnerships and collaborations. So I'd say like social media is definitely more of our community building tool versus a conversion tool. We don't see it as a sales channel. We see it as like strictly brand building and community building.
Yeah, sure. Are you thinking that might change at all with the launch into Amazon or no?
I think it will. We do have a paid ad strategy in place for Meta at a minimum. So Facebook and Instagram ads that will run alongside our Amazon launch. Yeah, we're really excited for this more e-commerce sales strategy and see how it performs. But it will. We'll be running some ads starting this summer as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, now you have a link that they can go to and easily order the
Yes.
product. So, um that makes sense. I'm
Yeah.
thinking too about Meta ads and, the paid ad strategy in general and just like all the money that goes into, either paid ads or even just launching on Amazon and like putting all that effort in. And how have you guys been managing your funding over these last few years to be able to do a launch like this? Like are you guys bootstrapping? Have you done any fundraising rounds? What's been your approach?
Yeah, so, coming right out of school, being the typical broke college students, we did have not bootstrapped the company. We have, a group of angel investors that have supported us. We raised around, we closed early 2023, and have been really mindful of where we're spending and how much we're spending and when, and just given our trajectory and our, history in building manufacturing, a lot of startup costs inherently built into that. We're definitely at a point where we're like, we wanna start spending money because we've been super cash conscious and just being really mindful given, the manufacturing. So, um yeah, we're definitely using the majority of what we've raised now, like starting this summer with the Amazon launch and just taking a larger distribution approach to selling via ecom. So, um, yeah, we feel really supported by our early investors and we're also part of like an accelerator and a couple incubation programs that we finished a while ago in Virginia. And the idea is that, of course, we don't want to be raising money forever. So we're being really mindful about when we're raising, how much we're raising, and being really dialed in on our financial model and our budget. So I think we have a good grasp on what we have going on.
Yeah. Are you guys considering doing another round anytime soon, or are you, kind of kicking that down the can?
Yeah, we definitely will be doing a round. We are thinking about end of this year, early next year, um, to open up another round, but just gonna trying to see how the first 6 months of this launch goes, and any new retail doors that we have applied or submitted for category reviews. If we land a couple this year, that might change when and how much we'll raise, but we definitely are anticipating at least one more round.
Yeah, totally. I'm curious what it sounds like you've had some great like mentors and fellow founders that you guys have relied on and then, a group of investors who, I'm imagining also are maybe good sources of advice, but as, new founders fresh out of college, what sort of resources have you guys relied on to grow with this business as you're kind of learning so much about it as you go?
Definitely. So we are part of the FAIR Pact Alliance. FAIR is the Food Allergy Research Education Organization, and it's a group of um, fair leaders. There's also some writers, like news writers, publicists that are on this call as well. As far as brands go, it's like all brands that are invested in the food allergy community, and we sit on a council of like manufacturers and marketing as well. And it's a space we meet every month, and it's a space where we share ideas, we share food allergy industry related news, and that has opened up a lot of like side conversations with other brands, other manufacturers, even down to like FDA regulators that are on the call as well. And so that from an industry perspective, that group has been tremendous. And it's interesting because CPG doesn't feel like, while of course it's like a competitive industry, it really on a day-to-day basis, it doesn't really feel like that because we're all, at least for this group, we're all are on, this we see the same vision, we're working towards the same solution, making snacking easier and more accessible for people who have food allergies. So that group has been tremendous. Startup CPG, of course, has been tremendous as well from early learnings. I still am posting in the mostly the sales channel, probably like every other day, asking questions. And then, yeah, I've met a ton of just amazing, very giving founders at trade shows that I've connected with. And I have a couple mentors that are either like leading founding teams in their sales divisions or whatever division, or just other founders that we meet pretty regularly. So we feel really supported by founders who are willing to give time and share their resources and share their networks because um, when there's a world of option as far as like agencies to work with, retailers to talk to, like it's kind of nice to have a little bit of insight from your founder friends of like who they've worked with, who they've not, who do they recommend, who they not recommend, because as an early founder, like there could be a lot of distractions and a lot of choice. And sometimes a lack of decision is the worst decision.
That's
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good little soundbite right there. But no, it's so true. I'm curious too, thinking about the support, like how do you and Eli support each other and balance the workload between the two of you to make sure you're both also like staying sane as you create this brand?
Staying sane, I don't know. It's sometimes it's really hard. So what's interesting is we had met our senior year as part of this class. So we weren't really like friends before. We had different social groups and different clubs and activities we were part of. And then when we decided to work on this together, we just like jumped in. There wasn't a lull. We didn't take like a 4-week Europe trip after we graduated from school. Like we just dove headfirst into building the business. And I think by us both making that decision together and being like, well, we're just going to sacrifice these first couple of years of like our professional career to see if this thing works and sticks, gave us like an inherent sense of trust and inherent sense of community. And we're both from the Northeast. So we decided to stay down in Virginia and just like couch surf for the first 8 months and just, making it work and whatever. And so we do have a really, really strong relationship. And we definitely have, like, our focuses, like, our day-to-day focus, but we do work on a lot together, and I think he's my immediate sounding board, and I'm that for him as well, so, um, yeah, it's feel like the relationship's very fluid, and we both have, like, our own strategic mentors that help us, and then we come together and share advice and insights and updates. I will say it wasn't as structured as what it is now. We have, like, standing meetings every week with just internal meetings and whatnot, and yeah, I think especially adding like we just hired 4 to 5 sales, like field sales merchandisers to support the team. So now like managing those people that has gave us a better sense of like structure and building out company culture and like doing the things that we normally wouldn't do because it's just the two of us. So it's been really good for us like for professional development and then just taking the brand to a whole other level, like bringing more people onto the team.
Yeah, totally. That's really exciting. Congrats and congrats to those people who just got jobs. Um, but I also always like to ask something that you wish you'd known before you started Absurd Snacks, like a piece of advice that you now have. And maybe it's, sometimes not making a decision is the worst decision. But what's a piece of advice that you wish you'd known on like day one, sitting down, coming up with this idea and deciding to go for it?
That is a great question. Um, I think something that I like recommend. So Eli and I, we mentor a couple students at the University of Richmond, like an hour a week, basically to give back to our university and just help like the next version of absurd snacks come to life through the university. And um, what we hear a lot from students and like early founders that reach out to us is like that like want to be perfect and like want to make sure that whatever they're putting out public facing has to be it, like, or else, people might think differently about like, oh, is this really where you're spending your time? Or like, this doesn't seem like a real business because they think there's like this immediate, but it's like totally fake, right? There's like that. No one actually, everyone wants to support young founders or founders in general who want to change or do something or build from the ground up something new. And I mean, I fell victim to that too, where like, felt like the brand had to be at a certain point in order to start sharing more about it, and we were going through the rebrand process, like, we were hesitant to share what we were doing all the time because we were constantly learning, and looking back on it, like, I wish I would've maybe given more perspective to people and, like, be more vulnerable, because some of those, like, insights and advice that people might have suggested could have helped, you know, guide us in a direction that we didn't think otherwise could be. Um, so I think doing like small tests, constantly testing and learning on the product, and then just being really open to like new conversations and new perspectives because again, like a lot of what we've learned has been from people who are willing to share their advice and expertise. Um, so yeah, I think just be more vulnerable maybe early on would be my piece of advice.
Yeah, I love that. And people like to see the process. As you were saying, even now, like your
Mhm.
founder videos, like they do the best. And people like to see, what you're doing and how you're managing things and how you're growing as well. We all love a success story after a phoenix rising from the ashes. So I love that. Well, my last question is just how can the Startup CPG community and our listeners support Absurd Snacks and learn more and follow along on your journey?
Definitely. Well, I would love if everyone would follow us on Instagram and give a little shout out to Absurd Snacks. I guess when by the time this airs, will be launched on Amazon, and so would love those early purchases, reviews. The first 90 days of an Amazon launch is like crucial to your rankability for in perpetuity. So, those early testimonials and reviews would be really greatly appreciated. But, yeah, we'll be at the Startup CPG Pavilion at the Summer Fancy Food Show at the end of June, early July. So, we're really excited to share the new and improved version of Absurd Stacks because the new production partner that we're working with will have new product fresh off the press just in time for Fancy and Amazon Prime too.
Amazing. Well, then everybody
Yeah.
who's not at Fancy Foods, go get it on Amazon. And if you're at Fancy Foods, stop by our section and try some Absurd Snacks. But it was so much fun to chat with you, Grace, and can't wait to see where Absurd Snacks goes next.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, it would help us out so much if you left a 5-star review on ratethispodcast.com/startupcpg. I am Grace Kennedy, the host of the Founder Feature Series, so feel free to add me on LinkedIn or reach out to me on Slack. I'm always on the hunt for new and exciting brands to feature. And if you're a potential sponsor who would like to appear on the podcast, please email partnerships@startupcpg.com. And finally, as a reminder for anyone listening, if you haven't already, we would love for you to join our community on Slack. You can sign up via our website, startupcpg.com.